Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. As y'all are checking in, shout yourselves out in the comment section. We ready to get started. We're going to get into a discussion that needs to be had. This is a discussion that honestly, this needs to be had all the time. This is not we're having it this time, but this is a conversation that needs to be had all the time. It's something that we need to remind ourselves of on a consistent basis. And I'm going to get right into it in like 30 seconds. I want to give the stragglers. And if you're 30 seconds late, you are a straggler, by the way. Over here in Work on Your Game world, 30 seconds late is late. Late is forgotten. Early is on time is late. So I'm going to give the stragglers 30 seconds, but I'm not always going to give the stragglers grace. All right, so when y'all see that notification, I don't care what you're doing. Unless you're attending to a sick or elderly family member or a needy child. Other than that, drop everything. All right, so what we're going to get into is, y'all see the topic. For those of you not familiar with me, my name is Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 33 books, done 4 TED Talks, created this whole brand called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the mindsets and the strategies to help athletes get to the top 1% in sports. And we translate that stuff over to the business world to help professionals like yourselves perform at a higher level, be more consistent, and make more money. And I want you to understand something about the Work on Your Game world. We are not here to make you feel good. We are here to help you do good. Everybody understand the distinction between those two things? Now, you may feel good in the process, but that's not the goal. We are not here to make you feel good. Now, if you happen to feel good, that's fine. It's kind of like, I'm not a comedian. I'm not here to make you laugh. But if you happen to laugh in the process, that's great. But that's not my goal. All right, my goal is to help you do good. That's why it's called Work on Your Game. It's called Work on Your Game because the work that you do in your game is going to help you perform at a higher level. And hopefully, as you perform at a higher level, you do so consistently and you're getting more results, i.e. you're making more money in your business. That will make you feel good. That'll make you laugh. That'll make you happy. And all the other warm and fuzzy things that you want to get in the process of your life, that'll be up to you. Because listen, when you can perform on call and you are consistent at performing and you can produce results, you can do whatever you want to do. All right. So whatever else you want to do, you can do it. I don't even have to know about it. As long as you go out there and perform, you can get whatever you want from life. You can name your price and they'll give it to you. It's kind of like, Priceline, right? When I rent cars, I usually rent cars from Priceline. When I'm traveling and stuff, you know how they had that name your own price thing? I don't know if they still do that. They got that name your price thing. All right, you can name your price when you can produce results. So our goal over here at Work on Your Game is to help people like you produce results so you can name your price. Everybody got it? Good. So what we're going to talk about here today is how a poor money mindset will keep you broke. Okay, and there's a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is a temporary state where you just don't have money or you don't have the kind of money that you need. Poor is a mentality, is a way of thinking that is very pernicious, that you could have a certain amount of money. You could have more money than most people have, but still be poor mentally. And that's going to lead you to being broke. A poor mindset leads to being broke. You could have a rich mindset, a wealthy mindset, and be temporarily broke, but you're going to make the money back. That can happen to people. But if you have a poor money mindset, you could have a ton of money. You could have more money than most people have, but still end up in a position where you're in trouble, because the poor money mindset is going to lead you down the path of whatever you're thinking. I talk about this all the time, how expectations lead to outcomes in life. If you have a poor money mindset, that means you have an expectation of not having money. So even if you temporarily have money, you will end up not having it because your mindset is going to drive you in that direction. Similar to how somebody can win the lottery and before that, they had a poor money mindset. They win the lottery. Their money mindset did not change. So they could win $5 million, $10 million, $30 million in the lottery. And 10 years later, they're broke all over again with no money. That $30 million is all gone. Why? Not because they are stupid, not because there's anything necessarily wrong with them. It's because they had a poor money mindset. And that poor money mindset is going to lead to a state of destitution, regardless of how much you have. Everybody understand what I'm saying? This is how you could take a negative person, put them in a great situation. They're going to find something negative about it. You take a positive person, put them in a negative situation or a situation that's not ideal. They're going to find positives in that situation. Why? Because their mindset is going to make all of that happen. So our mindset basically creates our realities in all of life. Not basically, it does create our realities. So the reason that I'm talking about this is not specifically just for a bigger picture life thing. This is specifically for you professionals out there, you entrepreneurs out there, you business minded folks out there, any of you who's interested in making more money from your job, from your career. You have a business, you want to start a business, or you're already in that path, but you want to make more money in what you're doing. This is specifically who I'm targeting when I do this live that I'm talking about here today. Many people, especially entrepreneurs, And the reason why I focus on entrepreneurs is because I'm an entrepreneur. I work with mostly entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs need to sell to survive. All right, we have to sell things to keep our business afloat. I'm not saying you got to sell to survive like every day. You got to make another dollar. But what I'm saying is the only way that your business keeps going is if you go out there and sell stuff. It's not like when you have a job, when there's a guaranteed check, regardless of how well or bad the company is doing in a general sense. So if I work at, like, there's a hotel across the street from my building. If I work for that hotel, I'm getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, regardless of their stock price or what's going on at the executive level of that company. I'm getting a check every 2 weeks, no matter what. But if I run a business and my business is not doing what it needs to do, then that check might not be coming in every week, regardless of how I'm thinking or whatever is happening on the ground floor level. I got to know everything that's happening on every level of that business. So all you entrepreneurs out there, your poor money mindset is the very thing that is slowing your business down. So I'm going to address all of that here today. Any entrepreneurs out there, if you feel like you have the right skills, the right abilities, the right intentions, yet your business is not turning over the way you want it to turn over, we're going to talk about here today what are some things that may be causing that. And by the way, as y'all are in the comments or y'all are viewing Facebook, I'm live on Facebook /Work on Your Game. Also my business group called 6 Figures and Growing, also on Instagram. You can shout yourselves out in the comments section. I usually say that at the beginning, but I wanted to get right into it today. So point number one. We are talking how your poor money mindset is keeping you in a bad financial space. Number one, you have a scarcity mentality. What is a scarcity mentality? First of all, we have to understand the opposite of a scarcity mentality is an abundance mentality. An abundance mentality understands and accepts and believes that the world that we live in, regardless of where you are, where you're from, who your parents are, what your circumstances are, etc., that the world that we live in is a world of abundance. If you are watching me right now, especially if you're watching live, and if you're watching on replay, first of all, you probably on a big scale, big picture scale, you are more wealthy than the average person in the world. If you're watching this at all, whether you're watching a replay on YouTube, you're watching on Instagram, you're watching on Facebook, you already have more abundance than most human beings. You know that a majority of people in the world live on less than $2 US per day. That's actually true. Less than $2 a day. And all of you are watching this on a device that costs way more than that. All right. If you're watching on a phone, you got $1,000 device in your hand. That is a computer, a phone, a web browser, and an MP3 player, all packed into one device that costs over $1,000, and you have it. All right. And that's probably like the 10th one that you've owned in your life. So none of you is in a position to have anything to say about not having. All right. You have plenty. All right. And the whole point of me sharing that is not to, what's going on, Kamal? The whole point here is for you to understand that we are in a world of abundance, which means anything that you want, even if you don't have it right now, it exists in abundance. It's just a matter of, have you yet figured out the formula on how to get it? All right. You might not have it right now. You just got to figure out the formula on how to get it because it already exists. The scarcity mentality is the opposite thought that since you don't have certain things, or you don't know a lot of people who have certain things, it must mean that there's not that much of it, or that it's a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sum game. All of you been following, any of you who follows the news, y'all see what's happening in the banking world, right? That there was a bank over in Silicon Valley that just went out, and it was one of the biggest banks in America, and that bank basically just collapsed. Now, the government is saying, and there's a lot of conversation going on, but the government's pretty much saying, President Biden was saying that they're going to basically bail this bank out. They're going to come up with ways to bail out this bank. And I can't remember exactly how much they had in people's investments, but the way that the banking system works on a very general sense, and you can talk to any financial expert who can explain it more deeply than I am. And I retweeted a couple of these on Twitter. My Twitter's just Dre all day if y'all want to see it, where some experts talk about this stuff, that when you put money into a bank in the United States, it's usually secured up to $250,000. Up to $250,000. But businesses, they put a lot more money than that in banks. They put millions of dollars in banks. So if something happens to that bank, your more than $250,000 is not secured, meaning it's not backed up. So if I put money in a bank, if I put $200,000 in a bank and that bank collapses, the government has insured my $200,000, which means I am entitled to get my $200K back, even though the bank actually lost the money because it's insured by the federal government. But if I have $300,000 in there, that's not insured. So I'm insured up to $250,000. So that extra, I'm not getting back. And I'm sharing all that to say this. Now that this bank just went out and there are companies that had millions of dollars in that bank, the government just announced that they're going to basically bail out that bank And in bailing them out, again, y'all can read the details on this. They're going to take the companies that lost millions or had millions in that bank, and they're going to give them their money back. Where are they getting the money from? That's the first question. Where's the money coming from? So this bank had millions of dollars. They lost the money. The money's gone because they don't actually hold the money. When you put money in the bank, they don't just hold it in a safe. That's not the way that it works. This is not like Scrooge McDuck. You got all the money sitting in a big safe in the back of the building. That's not the way it works. They lend out the money, the majority of it. They didn't have the money. The money did not exist. So what happens is the government is going to basically print money. They're going to create new money out of nowhere, and they're just going to put that back into circulation to give all the companies and people their money back. Why am I sharing this? What does it have to do with anything? This is what it has to do with, is that the government prints money every single day. All right? And whenever they need more money, they just print more money. All right? You remember when Obama came into office and he came into office around the time of the collapse, right? The collapse of a whole bunch of banking systems and the mortgage and all that stuff. Y'all remember that stuff, 2008, 2009, if you're old enough to remember. 15 years ago. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. What did they immediately do? They bailed everybody out. Right? They bailed everybody out and gave everybody their money back. Where'd the money come from? They just made the money up out of nowhere. So the whole point is, this is what I want y'all to understand, that money exists in abundance. And anytime we start to run out, especially in the United States, I'm just going to speak in the USA experience, especially in the United States, they just make more of it. So any of you who has a challenge with making money or getting the kind of money that you want to make, the only challenge that you actually have is not that the money is not there. It's just a matter of you got to figure out the formula to get it. And maybe one formula is to start a bank and go out of business, and they'll give you all your money back. The whole point is, that's tongue in cheek, but the whole point is the government is printing money all the time. There's plenty of money that's out there in existence. All you have to do is figure out who has what you want. How can you offer them something that they want? And then you will get more. Money is not a scarce resource. Okay. Money always and has always and will always exist in abundance. It is not backed in gold like it used to be. It's backed by trust of our federal banking system. As long as people trust the banking system, then there is no limit to how much money you can probably make. So if you have a scarcity mentality about money, I'm going to give you a bailout here that is not completely your fault. It was probably taught to you by the adults around you, like your parents, that they had poor money mindsets. So if you growing up ever heard things like money doesn't grow on trees, or we, meaning your family, are not rich, or only you got to be some kind of bad person, you got to do something bad in order to be rich, or anybody told you anything that made it sound like being poor or having less was in some way righteous or more real, or you were more in connection with God because you had less than everybody else. All of those are poor money mindsets that were taught to you as a child. And those things that were taught to you as a kid, they stick with you into adulthood until or unless you consciously do the work to get that garbage out of your brain. So if any of you had parents who didn't have a lot of money and didn't understand anything about money and had never took a class or did any kind of training or intentional mindset work on money, meaning I'm talking about your parents, if they didn't do it and they didn't have it, and they probably taught it to you, because what else are they going to teach you? They can only teach you what they know. And don't blame your parents. Don't get mad at your parents. Don't go call your mom or your dad and cuss them out because of what I'm telling you right now. But what you do need to do is understand what were some of the poor money mindsets you were taught as a child, and what you need to do to undo that poor mentality around money, because that exact mentality is the very thing that's keeping you from making the money that you want to make right now in your life. The things that you were taught when you were 8 or 9 or 10 years old, now you're 27 or you're 43 and you still had those mindsets because you never did anything to undo them. All right. So what you learned as a child plays a big role in how you end up as an adult until, again, you do something about what you learned. The challenge with all of this is not that this doesn't happen, because it happens to all of us. Now, some of you may have had parents who were well off and they understood money and they understood healthy money mindset, so they taught it to you. So you were, we're not even going to call it lucky, but let's just say it worked out well for you because your parents happened to be in that space. And the rest of us did not have that, so we got taught something different. Here's the challenge. The challenge is most people never even realize what I just said, that you are conditioned to think a certain way by your upbringing. And the good news is you can change anything that was conditioned into your mind as a child. The challenge is it takes a certain amount of work. And the bigger challenge to that is, first of all, you have to be aware that you were taught something. You have to be aware that the way that you think about money to this day, unless you've done extensive mindset work, is not something that you have learned as quote unquote truth or fact. All right. The way that you think about money is not truth or fact. It is simply what was handed down to you by the people around you. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? If you want to think differently, then first of all, you got to identify how you were thinking and then change it to what you want to be thinking. which means you got to get the information and the mindset and the insights from someone who is looking at things differently than the way that you were taught. And again, look at your parents, look at the way they talked and thought about money, and then ask yourself how you are talking and thinking about money, and ask yourself what's the difference or what are the similarities, and do you want it to be like that or do you want it to be different? That's a simple question. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is poor money mindsets that are keeping you in a bad financial space. Number 2, your mindset of you not deserving money. If you think for whatever reason you are somehow undeserving of money. And again, this goes back to your unconscious programming that you learned as a child. Undeserving could be something like somebody telling you, we are not rich, or we come from this neighborhood, so we're not supposed to make money, or we're this color, or you're this gender, or you're this orientation, or you're from this country, or your family is from here, or nobody from around here ever makes money or gets rich or gets to a certain position. Any of these things that were told to you, if you internalize them and you accepted them and believed them, you are still living them out to this very day, unless, of course, you have done the work to uproot the nonsense. Everybody got what I'm saying here? If you have this mindset of believing that you are not deserving of something, then that's the very thing that is keeping you from getting that thing. If you think you're not deserving of outcome X, it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve outcome X, regardless of how smart you are, how hard you work, how much you claim that you believe you can do it, how much information you have access to. You can have the best guru in the world teaching you and helping you to achieve the outcome. But if you believe in your mind that you are not deserving of that outcome, you will fail to achieve that outcome. So let's say you get the best personal trainer in the world. Who is that? I don't know. What's the woman's name? You get Jillian Michaels, who's like a famous personal trainer. And she's going to help you lose that last 20 pounds. But you have always seen yourself as an overweight, fat person who can never get in great shape. You got the best trainer in the world and you're still not going to lose that last 20 pounds. Why? Because everything that your trainer has you do to lose the weight, you're going to do something to undo whatever they had you do, just so you can stay aligned with the mindset with which you see yourself. Understand that no human being can perform for an extended period of time in a way that is incongruent with the way that you see yourself in the mirror. So if you see yourself as a poor, broke, struggling person when it comes to finances, you will always be a poor, broke, struggling person when it comes to finances. Even if somebody dropped a bag of money in your lap, you will find a way to get back to the struggle. Why? Because that's your mindset. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? And on the flip side, if you see yourself as a person who is abundant and a person who is rich and a person who always has money, even if you're broke, somebody could take all your money from you and drain your accounts down to zero. You could be in the negative. You will find a way to have money again very soon. Why? Because that's your mentality. Whatever mentality you have, you will find a way to adhere to that mentality and make your lifestyle congruent with the way that you think. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? So if ever you feel like you're not deserving of anything regarding money, this is the very thing that's slowing you down. It has nothing to do with the mechanical aspects of what exactly you are doing. So whatever amount you believe you are worth, folks, that's pretty much the amount you're going to earn for the rest of your life. Whatever amount you believe you are worth. All right, I just lost my connection on Facebook. Make sure I'm good on Facebook. Are we back on Facebook? Are we there? All right. So when it comes to the way that you're thinking and the way that you see yourself, and there's a difference between what you believe you're worth and what you say you believe you're worth. Those are two different things. I talked to somebody and they were under 6 figures for the year last year. And I said, how much money you want to make next year? And they said, 10 million. This is what this person said. And I mean, they believe, they weren't joking. They said 10 million. I said, all right, fine. You want to make 10 million. What's going to change? This is what I asked them. What's going to change about your approach, about your mindset, about your whatever that's going to take you from 50 grand, let's just say, to 50 grand was about a little bit over the average income in America to 10 million in a year. And they didn't really have an answer to this question. The whole point is you can say that you believe you're worth one thing, but what do you really believe you're worth? And if any of you want to know what you really believe you're worth, or just look at what you make. Look at what you make. That's what you really believe. Because if that belief changes, the number will change. The outcome will change. Your actions will change and the results will change with it. Mindset is be, do, and have, right? Starts with the mindset, then it leads to the actions, then it leads to the outcomes. This right time, I appreciate you. So it's be, do, have. That's the process. So if you want to have a different outcome, folks, you have to change your actions. Most people pretty much understand that. And to change your actions, you got to change your mindset. You got to change the way that you think about things. So many people, again, they pay lip service to saying, well, I believe I should have this, this, and this. And it's vastly different than what they actually have right now. And this is where you got to call. And as a coach, this is what I call bullshit on people. I say, okay, you're saying that, but let's look at your actions. Your actions don't reflect what you're saying. So I don't believe what you're saying. I believe what you do. And what you do is based on how you think. So if you want to change what you're doing, which will change what you get, then you got to change the way that you think. This is why mindset is the foundation of all success, is the foundation of all failure. I don't care if we're talking money, we're talking fitness, we're talking relationships, we're talking happiness, we're talking mental toughness, anything you want to talk about. It starts with the way you think. It leads to your actions and it leads to your outcomes. 1, 2, and 3. So if you believe you are worth more than what you're making right now in any space, whether you have a job, whether you are a student, whether you run a business, you believe you're worth more, then that means you will take the actions that reflect that you believe that. You will take the actions that reflect that belief. So for example, in the entrepreneurial space, we all understand as entrepreneurs, and all professionals actually understand this. If you want to have more money in life, you have to invest in yourself. Like, everybody understands the concept of investing in themselves, even if you are not you're not a what's the word I'm looking for? Just a deep investor. Let's just put it that way. You're not into deep, complicated investments. Everybody understands the concept of investing, right? That you put a certain amount of money into something, and then because you put that money in now, over time, it'll be worth more. Whether you invest in a stock, you invest in bonds, you invest in, you buy into companies, you buy a business, you buy a house, you get a rental property, any form of investment. And investment also, you can make investments in yourself, right? You can invest in yourself by buying a book on Amazon. It's going to make you smarter or make you a higher quality person. You can invest in a personal trainer so you can get in shape. You can invest in a coaching program so you can learn the things that you need to do so you can make more money in your business. There's a lot of different ways that you can invest. I'm bringing that up to say this. If you truly believe that you're worth more than what you are earning right now, or let's just say what you earned last year, you want to make more this year than you earned last year, then that means you would make investments into yourself now before you make the more money so that you can actually reflect what you believe that you're worth, if you actually believe it. And here's the thing. I hear people every single day. I talk to people every day who say they want to make more than what they made in the past. But then when it comes time for them to take an action that reflects that belief, they hesitate. They second guess themselves. They hem and they haw. They end up not doing it. And you have to tell them, like, listen, you said you believe you're worth more than this, but you're not even taking the actions to reflect that belief. So you don't actually believe it. You're saying it. It sounds good, but you don't actually believe it. Because if you actually believed it, you would take actions around it. Does everybody agree with what I'm saying here? See, if you expect something, you take actions around it. If you're a person who walks to work, if you got a 15-minute walk from your home to your job every single day, or to your office every day, 15 minutes, and you expect that it's going to rain outside, would you carry an umbrella? Of course, because you don't want to get wet. You don't want to get rained on. So you would carry an umbrella because you expect that it's going to rain. If you expect to be in great physical shape, would you have a membership to a gym, or at least somehow, some way have access to a place where you can work out? And you would own some workout sneakers and some workout gear and a towel to wipe your sweat. You would own those things. You would have those things. You would invest in them. Why? Because you expect to work out. And the only way to get in great shape and stay in shape is you got to work out at least on a regular basis. Most people understand this concept, right? So if you expect to make more money in your business this year than you made last year, you understand you can't do the same things you did last year and expect to get a different result. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Expecting one thing and expecting a different outcome, but doing the exact same stuff. That's the definition of insanity, right? But how many people do you know who do this? Who tell themselves, well, I'm going to get a whole different outcome. This person makes 50 grand talking about they want to make 10 million. Okay, you can want to make 10 million. All right, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You want to make it. Okay, let's do the work. But are you willing to do anything different? Are you willing to take some drastically different steps? Because what is that? Is that 20x? 20x your outcome, 20x your result from the previous year? Let's say 2x is 100 times 10. That's 20. No, that's 200x. So if you're going to get to that level, are you willing to take different steps? Are you willing to take those different steps, or are you not? So that's how you really know if somebody believes something. Don't just listen to what people say. Look at when it's time for them to actually make a real commitment to the things they talk about. Are they actually doing it, or are they just talking? So whatever you see in the mirror is the limits that you are setting on yourself. If you want to remove the limits from yourself, you got to remove the limits that you see when you look at yourself. Number 3, we are talking the poor money mindset. So they're keeping you in a bad space financially. Number 3, thinking that you must work hard in order to make more money. This is a big one right here. Understand that hard work is not the key to making more money. Yes, you heard me correctly. Hard work is not the key to making more money. I'm not saying that hard work does not factor into making money, but hard work is not the key to making more money. Question: how many of you know somebody who works really hard, but they don't make a lot of money? How many of you ever seen somebody who's always working really hard, but they, based on the line of work that they're in and just context clues, they probably don't make that much money? We all see this. All right? Any of you went to school, or if you work in a big building, you see the janitors and the maintenance men. Or do they make a lot of money? Not really, because those jobs aren't worth that much. I'm not saying the jobs aren't valuable and they're not needed to be done, but do they get paid as much as the person sitting up in the office at the top of the building? No. Do they get paid as much as does the janitor at the school get paid as much as the president of the school or the dean of students or the principal? No. But they work hard. They work harder than the principal or the CEO and the janitor. They do more back-breaking labor than all those other people, but they don't make the same amount of money. Hard work is not the key to success, folks. Hard work is an aspect of success. And if you believe that hard work is the key to making money, this may be one of the very things that is slowing you down from getting to it, because it's not hard work itself. It's working hard on the things that will actually produce the kind of money that you want to make. That's what will get you to where you want to go. So it's hard work multiplied by where you're working hard at. So if you work hard on something that is worth 1x, then that means every element of work gets one element of results. Let's say one element of money, right? So if you do hard work on a 1x level thing, then you get 1x returns. Give you an example. When I was a senior in high school, I worked at McDonald's. And this is an entry level job. Everybody knows what McDonald's is, right? So it's an entry level job. I was flipping the burgers, like literally flipping burgers and putting fries in the little containers and making McFlurries and all that stuff. That was my job. That's a 1x level return job. Did I work hard on the job? I guess I worked hard, but it was a 1x thing. So that means if I put in 5 units of hard work, I got 5 units of money back, if you get what I'm saying, because McDonald's is a 1x job. When you work on as a what do we call it? Like a line worker at McDonald's, that's a 1x job. The return on investment is pretty much 1x on effort. But let's just say had I become a manager at McDonald's. If I was a manager at McDonald's, I would get a little bit more return. Maybe I get a 2x or a 1.5x, because manager's job is more valuable than the fry guy's job. Everybody get what I'm saying? Now, let's say I was a franchisee and I owned that McDonald's location. I didn't actually work in it. I just hired all the people to work there. Now, if I do work, now my returns are a little bit more. Now my returns are like a 3x or a 5x or a 7x. Why? Because I'm working on something that is more valuable. The person working on the fries is not as valuable as the manager. The manager is not as valuable as the owner. Now, let's say I am one of the people at the board of directors at McDonald's. So we make a little bit off of everything that everybody does. When we work hard, then our returns might be 100x or 50x or 75x for every unit of hard work that we do. Now, all of us might put in the exact same number of hours in a day. Fry guy, the manager, the franchisee, and the people who own the company. We all might work 8 hours in one day, but who makes the most money? The people at the top of the food chain. Why? Because they're doing work that is worth a higher return on investment. So what you need to think about here is not whether or not you should work hard. Yes, work hard. Whatever you do, you should work hard at it so that you feel good and you are doing the best that you can do at whatever job you have. I don't care if you're a maintenance man, if you're cleaning the gum off the bottom of desks in a school, or you're the fry guy at McDonald's. You should work hard at whatever you do so you can be proud of yourself and you can set an example for yourself. However, if you want to make more money at what you do, then you need to work hard at things that actually produce a higher return on investment for your effort. And it is your job to figure out what that is, or to get around somebody who can help you figure out what that is. So you're not just working hard just to say that you worked hard and then wondering, hey, how am I working so hard, but I'm not making the money that I want to make? If that's happening, it's because you're working hard on the wrong things. And I shouldn't even say the wrong things. You're just working hard on things that don't produce the same return as something else. Everything produces a different level of return. So you got to figure out, where do I want to work hard? Where does it make the most sense to work hard? And the challenge with this, again, this goes back to your programming. As a child, what were you taught by the people around you? Did the people around you teach you that you should just work hard to make money? Did the people around you teach you that no matter how hard you work, there's only a certain amount that you can make? Did they just had they never explored it, then that means they would be unqualified to help you understand it. So if you're around people who didn't understand, hey, if you put hard work into this instead of this, you can make a lot more money. But if you didn't have anybody else around you who taught you that, then you would never know it. Now you got to go get that information. You got to go get that insight from someone who might know something that maybe the people who raised you didn't know. So it's your job to go figure this out. And I'm bringing up the childhood programming because it matters so much. Because once you get out of school, a lot of people never do any more intentional learning for the rest of their lives. So after age, let's just say 18, and then the people who go to college will say 21 or 22. Most people never do any more intentional learning for the rest of their lives. They just go off of whatever they know at that point, wherever they are at by age 18, 19, 21, and they pretty much live just like that person for the next 60 years. Now, you don't have to do this. You can choose to do something different, but you have to do it intentionally. See, when you go to school, they force you to learn stuff. They force you to read the book. They force you to go to class and do the homework and take the tests. After school, nobody's forcing you to do any kind of learning if you don't want to. So that's why all of this has to be intentional. Everybody follow what I'm saying here. All right, and I'm going to take questions too when I get to the end of this. So whatever hard work you're doing right now, keep working hard, but you got to figure out where can you get a higher rate of return on that same hard work. Maybe you just need to work hard in a different place. Again, you can work hard on the fries, or you can work hard at being a manager, or you can work hard at becoming a franchisee, or you can work hard at becoming an owner and let other people be your franchisees. So now you're making a cut off everything that everybody else does. The owner of the enterprise does not work 50 times harder than the maintenance guy who cleans the toilets, but the owner earns 50 times more money. Why? Because again, they're doing a job that is worth more. So you have to do the thing that is actually worth what you want to make. Point number 4. We are talking here about the poor money mindsets that are keeping you in a bad space financially. Number 4, listening to people who are broke. Listen to people who have other people who have poor money mindsets. So I shouldn't even say broke. We should say poor people who have poor money mindsets. You shouldn't listen to poor people. You go listen to somebody because somebody could temporarily be broke. They might be rich next week. But somebody who has a poor money mindset, you should never listen to this person. How do you know if a person has a poor money mindset? Ask yourself, and you could even ask them if you want to, are they doing any work when it comes to their mentality around money? Have they done any work when it comes to their mentality around money? Listen to what they say around the concept of money. And pretty much within 5 minutes, if you're talking about the subject, you'll get a good idea how this person thinks about money. And if it shows that they have a poor mindset around money, you should not listen to anything they have to say about the subject. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. You can still love them and like them. This could be a family member of yours. It could be your brother or sister. It could be a cousin. It could be a next door neighbor. It could be one of your coworkers. You can still like them and be cool with them and be friends with them on Facebook, but you should never take any advice from them or listen to internalize anything they have to say around the concept of money because they haven't done any work around it. Therefore, they're unqualified to be giving out advice. And you would be ridiculous to listen to anything they have to say. But law of association states what, everybody? You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. So if you are spending time around talking to people who have poor mindsets around money, well, guess what you're going to be? Somebody with a poor mindset around money. So you got to get around people who are thinking differently around the concept and consume what they have to say. Read what they write. Watch what they put out. And that will start to change the way that you think about it because they're going to say things that will change the way you think. It'll challenge your old ideas. They will say things that lead you to go looking for things that you otherwise never would have found had you not looked for them when it comes to the concept of money. This is why you got to think about money differently, and you got to think about your associations differently. As I said, many of us got our money mindsets as kids. We all got our money mindsets rather as kids because you learn from the adults around you, right? You're impressionable as a child and you're observing and absorbing everything from the adults around you who raised you. That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. But once you get old enough to realize what you were taught, if you realize that the things that you were taught are not serving you, then it becomes your responsibility to get rid of the old stuff and bring in some new stuff. But if you don't do the work to get rid of the old stuff, then the old stuff just stays there. And you live your whole life with the old stuff. And if the old stuff is not helping you, well, it'll continue to not help you and you're going to live your whole life like that. So this is the work that you have to do. This is the work you have to do on yourself. So this is not about you blaming your school teachers or blaming your parents or blaming your environment or blaming the place you're from. This is not about that at all. And over here, by the way, for those of you who don't know, over here at Work on Your Game, we don't do that. Over here, we bring everything back to the person in the mirror. Never do we point the finger at someone else. You point the finger at someone else, it's only for you to say, okay, well, I got it from them, but now it's on me. If you're pointing the finger, you always turn it back to yourself. By the time we're done, we always bring it back to yourself because you're the only person you can control. You can't go back and change what happened when you were 9 years old, but you can do something about yourself now that you're 39 years old. You can do something about you. That's the only thing that you can control. So even if you think you were taught wrong, good. I'm glad that you think you were taught wrong because now that you're aware of it, now you can do something about it. Now you can take ownership of the situation. Everybody get what I'm saying? So whatever you were taught, It wasn't because the people around you were trying to sabotage you or make you a loser, because they taught you what they knew. Right? And if they just didn't have the information, okay, they didn't have the information. Now that you know that, now it's your job to go get the information so that when you teach your kids, they don't end up with bad information. All right, that should be your next responsibility. That should be your only responsibility, as a matter of fact. So the people around you, did they have accurate formulas around money when it comes to the logical formulas and the emotional formulas? You should know. You should be able to understand this in a relatively short period. Like within 5 minutes, you can figure it out based on the way that you think about it and based on what you're hearing me talking about right now. If the answer is no, then you know you need to go to work. If the answer is yes, then you need to revisit what you were taught. And again, these are things you need to remind yourself of over and over and over again. This is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time thing where you say, all right, I read something about money mindset. I got a good money mindset. I'm good. I'll never have to do this again. It's the same way that when it comes to fitness, you don't work out one time. All right, same way taking a shower. You don't take a shower one time. You shave. You don't shave one time. You don't put on makeup one time ever. All right, you do those things over and over and over again so you can stay in that frame and you can stay in that mindset, and it keeps working for you. If you are not sure if you were taught a healthy mindset around money as a child, then the answer is you were not. The answer is no, you were not. All right, it was either a healthy money mindset or it was a poor money mindset. But if it was healthy, then it was taught to you intentionally, and the people around you made sure you knew about it and they were consistent with it, because that's how someone is taught a good mindset, is they consistently remind you of the same stuff over and over and over and over again. If that wasn't happening, you were not taught a healthy money mindset, which means you now as an adult need to do the work to get it. This is your responsibility now. It's not on anyone else. And number 5, this is the last point, and I'm going to take questions at the end of this. I'll recap the points as well. We're talking about the poor money mindsets that are keeping you in a bad space financially. Number 5, limiting yourself as you see having more is bad. You were taught that having more is bad, that being rich, whatever you consider to be rich, is somehow a bad thing, or that rich people are somehow they're stealing from other people, or they have more than they need, or more than they're supposed to have. Let's put it that way. Not more than they need. It's good to have more than you need, but they have more than they're supposed to have, and they're somehow taking from the people who have less. All of these are negative money mindsets that, again, can be taught to you by people who have negative money mindsets. They just don't know what they don't know. Whatever religion you're a part of, I talked about this in my reel earlier today. Maybe you've heard that some people misquote the Bible where it says money is the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. Money is completely impartial. Money is just a neutral object. So any of you have any money right now, if you got some money in cash, take $1 out or $100 bill, whatever you got, put it down on the table, leave it there for 5 minutes, go walk away, go do something else, come back to the table and see where that money's at. I guarantee it's still going to be in the same spot and is not doing anything. No negative was created. No evil was created. No good was created. It just sat there and did absolutely nothing. Money is completely impartial. It's completely impartial to your situation, to what you think, what you say, what you are doing. Money is completely neutral. It is not evil. It is not good. It's not positive. It's not negative. It's just a thing. So if any of you were taught, again, if your money mindset is somewhere around money is negative in some way, that having money is bad, or that certain people are negative because they have more money than other people, this is a poor money mindset that was taught to you by somebody who didn't understand what they didn't understand. They taught it to you. You accepted it. And now you've been walking around thinking this. And it's the very thing that's keeping money away from you right now. You need to fix this. Okay. Any religion, I don't care which one it is. It could be, and I have people who I've worked with in my program who are Christians, people who are Catholics, people who are Jewish, people who are Muslim. I've had all different denominations. Every single religious text agrees that you should prosper, be abundant, and multiply. Every single one says that. You should prosper, meaning you should have a lot. You should be abundant, meaning you should have much more than you need, and you should multiply, meaning it should not just stop with you. There should be more of you. Every religion says that. There's no religion that disagrees with those points. So that prosperity and abundance is about you having more than what you need. And money takes care of our food, clothing, shelter, and then it takes care of all the luxuries and the extras that we want to have in life. And there's no religion that says you should not have this. There's no religion that says you're a good person when you have less. Not a single one. Prosperity means having the resources to prosper and having the resources to take care of the multiplication in the form of your family and future generations if you have them. As I said earlier, there is no shortage of money on the planet. All right, somebody paying you money does not mean there's less money to go around in the world. So if you're selling a product that costs $1,000 and somebody pays you $1,000, You should not be looking at that. If you have the mindset of, or they pay me $1,000, that means they have $1,000 less in their life and I have $1,000 or more. So in order for me to make money, somebody else has to have less money. That's not the way money works. Again, I told you this at the beginning. If the government was to run out of money, which they just did, well, they didn't run out, but the banks ran out of money. What does the government do? They just go, they get together, they have a conversation, they have a vote, and they decide all of a sudden we're just going to create more money. So this bank just lost $300 million, let's say, for example. I'm just making up that number. They're just going to print $300 million and give the bank the money back. Where'd the money come from? They just made it up. All right. So if you charge somebody $1,000 for a product and they pay you $1,000, that $1,000 is not gone forever from them. They can make $1,000 back. All right. Any of you ever paid for something that costs more maybe than what you were comfortable paying, but then you made the money back? Any of you ever did that? All right. Has any of you ever made a whole bunch of money in a very short period of time? Whatever you consider to be a whole bunch. Everyone here has done it before. All right. So just because you spent a certain amount of money does not mean you can never make that money back. All right. I'm going to be traveling this week. I'm going to be spending on rental cars, hotels, food, flights, and who knows whatever else, incidentals, all those other. I'm going to be spending money on all kinds of things. But it's not like I'll never see that money ever again, right? If I go to a hotel and it costs me $1,000 to stay at the hotel, it's not like I'll never get that $1,000 back ever in my life, right? And this is the way that many people think when it comes to money. All right, if I charge somebody this much, damn, they're not going to have this much money. I can't charge somebody $15,000 because damn, now they got to spend $15,000. Well, they can make the money back. That's why they're even in the conversation to talk about it in the first place. Everybody got what I'm saying? This is the mindset that you need to understand around money. It is your moral obligation, everybody, to prosper as best as you can. Again, whatever religion you follow, every religion says this: you should prosper, you should be abundant, you should have as much as you want to have. Even if you don't follow a religion, if you are in business, it is your responsibility to give as much value as you can to the people you serve, meaning your clients and your customers. And in order for you to give them value, you have to charge them money so that you have enough money to give them the best that you could possibly give them. Because if you're charging them $1 for what you offer, well, you don't have anything to give. So it is your responsibility to give as much value as possible to the people you serve so that they get value, you get value, the government gets a cut of it, and everybody wins in the process. This is your responsibility. It is your job. So if you're not giving people the best value you can possibly give them, then you're violating a principle. And this is the very reason why you're not making the money that you want to make, because you're not doing your duty. You're not following your responsibility. When you are helping other people, you should be prospering in exchange. And the way that you prosper in exchange is that you charge properly for what you offer. People are willing to pay it, or you talk to the people who are willing to pay it. You get something, they get something, the government gets something, the banks get something. Everybody wins in the process. That is a healthy money mindset. So you got to undo this poor money mindset that you have been taught or that you have picked up somewhere along the way that is slowing you down and is getting in your way. So let me recap these 5 points that I just did. If you have a question or a comment or anything, put it in the comment section. I'll address it. 5 points: how your poor money mindset is keeping you in a bad financial space. I shouldn't even say broke, because broke is temporary. Poor is a mindset. Poor is worse than broke. All right. Anybody can be broke temporarily. Poor is an ongoing thing that is harder to fix. Number one, scarcity mentality. Scarcity mentality thinks that there is a shortage of money on the planet. There's a big bank over in Silicon Valley that just allegedly went under a couple of days ago. The government just announced that they're going to bail that bank out and get them more money. Where'd the money come from? Nowhere. They just made it up out of thin air, meaning there's no scarcity of money. Number two, not deserving. You are somehow believe that you don't deserve money because of where you're from or who you are, who your parents were, or what neighborhoods you're from, or what color you are, what race or religion or gender. All of those are nonsense, poor money mindsets that you were taught by other people who didn't understand what I'm explaining to you now. Number three, thinking that you must work hard for money. Hard work is a key thing to have. You should work hard, but it's what you work hard on that determines how much money you make, not whether or not you work hard. That's not the key. It's what you work on. You want to work hard on something that produces a higher return on investment. There's a difference between being an owner of McDonald's and being a fry guy at McDonald's. They pay different amounts, even though both people work the same amount. Number four, listening to people who do not have a healthy money mindset. Listen to poor money mindset people will keep you in a bad money space simply because of the law of association. The states you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. You hang around people with poor money mindsets, then you are one of them. And number five, limiting yourself as you see having more is somehow bad. That you think people with money are they're unscrupulous, that they steal from other people. They have more than they're supposed to have. They have more than they deserve. Every time a rich person makes more money, it's taken away from a poor person. All of those are poor money mindsets, and they're completely nonsense. They are not based in logic. They can't be proven because they're not true. So any of you has ever had any of these mindsets around money, that is one of the main reasons why you're not making what you want to be making. All that said, if anybody has a question or comment, post in the comment section. I'll address them if there are any. But while I'm waiting, I'll tell everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. I have a course called The Business Builder, where we do whole sections, whole modules inside that course on money mindset. We do a section on poor money mindsets, similar to what I was talking about right now, and one on healthy money mindsets. And the reason why I have that in my Business Builder course specifically is because if you are going to build a business and you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a healthy mindset around money, how you make money, how much you're charging, how much you are keeping, what you're doing around money, your conversations with money, because guaranteed you're going to talk to a customer or a client who's going to have an objection about the money. What are you going to say? How are you going to deal with it? How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do in those situations? You need to know. You got to have your mindset right so you can help other people get their minds right around money. Because if you're an entrepreneur, your number one responsibility is generating income and generating revenue. Yes, I know your business might be you wash cars, or you do detailing, or you're a coach, or you help people learn how to swim, or you help people learn how to deal with their babies, or you repair marriages, or whatever it is that you do as an entrepreneur. You're the thing that you're a practitioner of. But the main reason you're in business is to make money. So if you have an unhealthy mindset around money, then you are going to sabotage your own business simply because your mindset is not in the right place. So that's why I have those money mindset trainings inside the course on building a business. So any of you wants to build a business, or you already have a business, you want to do better in your business, I suggest you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, where you got a couple options. One is you can get access to all our courses, all our trainings. We got 37 courses in there. You get access to all of that stuff immediately right now. Within the next 30 seconds, you can be taking it at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Or if you like to work with me directly, if you want to be coached by me directly, and I coach mostly entrepreneurs, mostly people who are at the 6-figure level. You want to get to the next level in your business. You need strategies in place. You need systems. You know, there may be some mindset issues that you need to deal with along the way in the process. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We got options for both right there on the page. It's so simple. Even the caveman can do it. If you want to schedule a call with me, there's a button for that. You want to get access to all the courses immediately, there's a button for that. That's all in one place. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. And while I am here, let me put the number to my text line. I send out a daily motivation text for free every single morning. If you want to receive that message straight to your mobile device for free every morning, just text me at that number that I just put in the comments. It is 305-384-6894. Let me put that on Facebook as well. And by the way, any of you who is a Facebook user, if you are watching me on Instagram, my Facebook page is facebook.com/workonyourgame. So if you want to get on my Facebook page, those of you who are use Facebook, maybe more to use IG, or use both, and you want to connect with me on Facebook, it is facebook.com/workonyourgame. Again, my daily motivation text, I just put that number in my Facebook chat as well. And if anything comes up that you forgot or you didn't get a chance to mention while I'm on this live, then just hit me in the DMs or just text me, because that text number, I do actually respond to my text. I read all my text messages. So if you send me a text, I will get it. I will respond. Who's that? Rochelle over there on Facebook. Boy, the spirit of poverty can be broken. Of course, well, I just laid it out. I just laid out the steps. But that's all we had at university. Work on your game university. I'm giving you the real life education that you need, the intentional, conscious education that you need, not just the rote, sending you through a standardized system like they do in college, not just the random stuff that you picked up from your parents growing up as a kid. That wasn't intentional. I'm talking about an intentional, conscious education that's going to help you do the things you want to do in life, specifically for those of you who are into or have entrepreneurial mindset, because I believe over time, everybody eventually looks around and says, no, I need to do my own thing. I need to be in charge. I need to be the boss. I need to run my own enterprise, because I don't care how great you do at a job. Eventually you get to the point where you realize at some point the hammer can drop on you, right? That guillotine can drop on your neck. And it happens to a lot of people. And it's not about how good you are, because actually the better you are, the more likelihood it will happen to you, because you're costing them more money. All right, the longer you've been in business, the better you are, the more you cost. They need to get rid of you so they can replace you with somebody cheaper, so they can keep more money. All right, you see how this works? You see how all this works in a cycle? So anyway, all that said, workonyourgameuniversity.com. And you want to work with me directly, text me if you got a question, you want to ask me something privately, or hit me in the DM, or just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, schedule a call with me. That is it. I've been talking for almost exactly 50 minutes straight. But I like doing this. It's fun. I like giving y'all the game. Hopefully y'all got something value out of this. Hit me up. You got a question, comment, concern, any of that. Everybody have a great, what day is today? Tuesday. Work on your game. We out of here.